Pans.
Hold on.
How do you raise your hand?
There's at the bottom, guys. There should be a thing that says raise hand.
I really let you go on the top. So.
All right, you guys, do we see the workbook page on the screen? Okay. All right, if you're muted, okay, if you're still talking, if you're unmuted, go ahead and mute yourself. All right, we're gonna go through a few of these, and then I'm gonna have you guys do a few on your own. Okay. So if we look at this at the top, guys, this is what we kind of just went through. So that's what you just wrote down kind of in your notes. So let's look at number 1, okay? If I'm trying to find how much water is in a swimming pool, okay? If I'm talking about how much water is in a swimming pool, that is going to be, oh, what happened? Hold on. Not what I wanted. Give me a second. I don't know why I did that. Okay. All right. So I'm talking about how much water is in a swimming pool. Okay, we know that that is probably going to be volume. Again, that was just kind of like that amount of water in a fish tank. Okay, because if we're filling up a swimming pool, all right, you need to know that amount of water. You're measuring length, width, and height. So that first one is gonna be volume. Okay, so off to the side, guys, you should see I'm kind of typing over here. So this is kind of what you're gonna fill in on your workbook page. All right, number 2, how tall are you? So if you're measuring how tall you are, you're going to be measuring the length of something, okay? So if you're measuring how tall you are, okay, we usually use a ruler or a meter stick to measure length. If we're trying to measure how tall we are, we're just measuring length. So for 1, for 2, we're just going to put length, okay? Right? And length is just 1 dimension. Okay, I can't spell, sorry. So we have length, and length is just 1 dimension. For number 1, volume we know is 3 dimensions, so we can just put volume and then 3. All right, number 3, how much carpet is needed for a floor? Okay, how much carpet is needed for a floor? We're talking about the flooring. Again, we're measuring the area, okay, because if we're trying to figure out how much carpet, we need the length and the width of the room to figure that out. Okay, so number 3 would be area. And we know that area is 2 dimensions, okay? So again, I'm filling this out on this side, and these connect with the numbers in your workbook. Okay, so number 4. Okay. Number 4, how far it is from a doorknob to the floor. So a doorknob, again, like that knob on your door, if you're measuring how far it is from the doorknob to the floor, again, you're just going to be measuring length, because if you're going from the doorknob to the floor, you're measuring the height of something, okay? So number 4 is just going to be length. We know length is just 1 dimension. So you're going to put length and 1 dimension. All right, so I'm going to go back to the other screen. You guys still have this in front of you, okay? Because I want to be able to see all you guys, and with this, I can't see all you guys right now. So I'm going to share back to the original screen, and we're going to go through 5, 6, 7, and 8 all together, because I want to see if you guys raise your hand and have questions. All right, hold on, let me share this back. Okay. All right, so let's look at number 5. Okay, number 5 is asking how much sand is in a sandbox. So if I'm trying to fill up a sandbox, what am I going to be using? And am I going to be using volume, area, or length? Am I using volume, area, or length? Reese, what do you think? Oh, sorry, Reese. What do you think, Reese?
Volume.
Volume, okay, good. Because I'm filling up that sandbox, so that's much like filling up a fish tank with water, okay? I need to know how much sand I need to put in that sandbox, so I'm gonna have to fill it up with volume. So for number 5, you need to put volume, and then how many dimensions are we measuring with volume?
4.
How many dimensions are we measuring with volume? Emily? Hold on. Emily, how many dimensions?
Emily. 3.
3. Okay, good. So you're for number 5, you're gonna put volume and then 3. All right, let's look at number 6. Anybody have a question about that? Did anybody not get volume and have a question about that? Okay. Number 6, how much wallpaper is needed for one wall? So I want you guys to think about when you have wallpaper in your room, okay? What are we measuring there? If we need to figure out how much of a wall we need to put wallpaper on, is that gonna be length, area, or volume? Lily, what do you think? Hold on. What do you think, Lily? Lily? Can't hear Lily. All right, Kaden, what do you think?
Area.
Area, okay? Because I'm trying to figure out, I need to know the length and the width, okay? If we think about wallpaper is 2-dimensional. It has a length and it has a width, okay? So that one's just gonna be area. So for 6, you're gonna put area. How many dimensions is area? How many dimensions is area? Cruz? Hold on. Cruz, how many dimensions is area?
Area is I'm pretty sure 2 dimension.
2 dimensions, right? Length and width. If you guys can see, look at Miss Smith's whiteboard. Length times width. So area is going to be 2 dimensions. Okay. Anybody question about why that one is area? No, we're good. Kaden, you got a question or no? Good. Okay. Number 7. How long is a string? So if we're measuring how long a string is, what is that going to be? How long a string is that going to be length, area, or volume? How long a string is?
Ellie.
Lily, what do you think?
Hey. Stay there. Thank you.
I don't know if Lily can hear me. I'm going to try Aiden. Aiden, what do you think?
Length.
Length, good. And how many dimensions is length, guys? How many dimensions is length?
Why are you on his tablet?
Because I'm trying to help him.
Why are you trying to help him?
Because he wants help.
Okay, let him do it himself. Tell
Emily?
him how to do it.
1.
1, okay? So number 7, you put length and 1 because how long something is, how long a string is, it's just going to be 1 dimension. All right, number 8, how much space there is inside a refrigerator? How much space there is inside of a refrigerator. If we think about a refrigerator and we're trying to figure out how much space is inside the refrigerator, is that going to be length, area, or volume? Reese, what do you think? Sorry, Reese.
Area.
Well, let's look about let's think about a refrigerator. We're talking about a refrigerator. Is a refrigerator a 1, 2, or 3-dimensional shape? Jacob, what do you think? Space inside of a refrigerator. This Smith has a
Perimeter.
picture on her whiteboard. You guys need help there. What do we think? Kaden?
Volume.
Okay, volume. Okay, it's gonna be volume because we're trying to find the space inside of something. Okay, remember our refrigerator is a 3-dimensional shape. Okay, we're trying to find the space inside of it. So we're gonna need to know that it's the length times the width times the height. Okay, and volume is how many dimensions? Volume is how many dimensions? Aiden?
3.
3. Volume is going to be 3 dimensions, okay? So for 8, you're going to put volume and you're going to put 3. All right, any questions about those on the front, guys? Any questions about those on the front? No? No? I like how Emily put the X. She put no. Anybody questions? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and turn it into the back. Hi, Wyatt. All right, so for these on the back, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna first figure out what you are measuring. So whether you're measuring length, whether you're measuring area, or whether you're measuring volume, okay? Before we start though, if we're measuring length, that's probably asking us to measure what? If we're measuring length, we're probably measuring what? Cruz?
Shape process. We're measuring. For measuring length, we're measuring. I had it and lost it.
Okay, that's all right. Aiden, if we're measuring length, what are we probably measuring?
How tall something is.
Okay, how tall something is, or it's what? What have we been learning where we add up the side lengths? What is that when we add up all the side lengths? That is gonna be what? Let's see, hold on. Aiden?
Perimeter.
Perimeter, okay, good. So it's asking us to measure the perimeter of something, we're gonna be using the length. If it's asking us to measure the area, remember we're multiplying length times width. If it's asking us to find the volume, remember we're measuring length times width times height. Okay, so for the back, for 9 through 14, the first step I wanna do is I want you guys to help me figure out what are we measuring? Are we measuring perimeter? Are we measuring area? Or are we measuring volume? And that'll tell us what formula we need to use, okay? So I'm gonna share the screen with you to the workbook page. So hopefully you guys can see that. Okay. All right, so for the first one, okay, I'm gonna click on it so it brings it a little bigger. All right, so it says Soledad has a storage box. The box is 6.5 inches long, 4 3/4 inches wide, and 7 inches tall. She wants to run a border around the top of the box. How much border does she need? Okay, so it's asking us about the border, okay? If we're talking about a border of something, okay, which of those are we going to be using? Are we going to be using perimeter? Are we going to be using area? Or are we going to be using volume? What do we think? We're asking about the border around something. Bobby, what do you think?
Perimeter.
Perimeter, okay, good. Because if we're talking about the border, okay, that's the length of the around something, just like a fence. When we have a fence and we're asking about the length of the fence around something. So border is just talking about the length of the distance around it, okay? So if we look at that shape, guys, our border is gonna be perimeter. So what's the formula for perimeter? What's the formula for perimeter? It's right there. She already wrote it down. You guys saw it. Kaden?
Length plus width plus width.
Okay, good. Length plus width plus width. So if we look at that shape, guys, what is our length gonna be? What's the length of that rectangle? What's the length of that rectangle on number 9? The length of the rectangle on number 9. I know Caden's got it. I need someone other than just Caden. Caden, what's gonna be the length?
7 inches.
Well, let's look at that. What is 7 inches isn't gonna be our length. 7 inches is the what?
Oh, 6.5 inches.
6.5 inches. 7 inches is our height. So we don't even need the 7 inches for this one because height is not a measure when we're measuring border. So we have 6.5. So if the top length is 6.5, what's the bottom length gonna be? What do we know about a rectangle? The top length is 6.5. What's the bottom one gonna be? Reese?
6.5.
6.5, good. Okay. What's our width gonna be? What's our width of that rectangle? If we look at the width of that rectangle, our width is going to be what? Jacob, what's the width of that rectangle?
The width of the rectangle is 7 inches.
Okay, let's look at that 7 inches. That 7 inches is your what? That 7 inches isn't gonna be your width. It's gonna be your what? Bobby?
It's gonna be your height.
Your height. So you don't need the 7 inches. So your width is gonna be what then? What's your width gonna be? Emily?
4 3/4.
4 3/4. Good. Okay. Do we see that, guys? Because 7 inches is how high it is. It's how tall it is. Okay. Remember, for perimeter, we don't need to know the height. Okay. For perimeter, we just need length and width. Okay. So to get my perimeter, I just need to add all of those values together. Okay. So I have 6 1/2. I have 4 75/100, which is the same as 4 3/4. So I need to add all of that together. So go ahead and take a couple minutes and add those together and tell me what you get. I need to go get another whiteboard marker. All right, so when you add those together, you have perimeter equals all right, when we get the 16 plus, 13 plus. All right, what did we get as an answer when you guys added those together? Bobby, what'd you get?
22 and a half.
Good. Okay. You should have got 22 and a half. Okay. So when you added them together, just like Miss Smith has on her whiteboard, kind of the same as mine. Okay. We end up with 13 plus 9 and 5/10, which is going to give us 22 and 5/10. If you kept them as fractions, you could have done that, but remember you needed to find a common denominator and then add them. All right, but let's talk about, before we move on, okay, what is going to be our unit since we're just finding perimeter? Perimeter is one dimensional. So it's going to be 22 and 1/2 what? 22 and 1/2 what? Is it going to be inches? Is it going to be square inches? Or is it going to be cubic inches? Since we're only measuring one dimension, it's just going to be what, Kaden? What do we think, Kaden?
Square units.
Okay, it's not going to be square units. Square units is what? If we're measuring square inches is
No,
area.
cubic units. Wait, no, never mind.
Square inches is area. Cubic units is volume. So it's just going to be inches. Okay, so that one's just going to be inches because we're just measuring perimeter. Okay, if we're just measuring one dimension, it's only going to be one dimensional. All right, let's move on to number 10. Hold on, I'm going to share my screen back with you guys. All right, so the refrigerator is 5 2/3 feet tall, 2 2/7 feet wide, and 2 1/4 feet deep. How much space does the refrigerator take up on the floor? Okay, well, the first thing we need to figure out is if we're measuring perimeter, area, or volume. This one is a little tricky. It's asking you how much space the refrigerator takes up on the floor. Well, if we're talking about the floor is going to be how many dimensions? If we're just talking about the floor is going to be how many dimensions? How many dimensions is the floor going to be?
What?
Caden, what do you think? I think I unmuted you. Hold on. We're talking about the floor, guys. That's going to be how many dimensions? Is that going to be perimeter, area, or volume if we're measuring the floor? Bobby?
It's gonna be area.
Okay, it's going to be area. Good. Okay, because when we're talking about how much space something takes up on the floor is two-dimensional. The floor just has a length and it has a width. Okay, the floor doesn't have height. All right, so this one we're going to be using area. So what's my formula for area? What formula have I been using for area? Aiden?
Length times width.
Good. Area equals length times width. All right, so what's my length going to be for that problem? My length is going to be what? We're measuring length, we're measuring how tall, how length and width. So if you look at Miss Smith's whiteboard, she kind of wrote it down for you. Caden, what's my length?
2 2/7.
Okay, we kind of have 2 2/7. What's my width going to be? What's my width gonna be? Caden?
2 1/4.
Okay, good. 2 1/4. So to find area, we're just gonna need to multiply those together. Okay? Can I multiply those numbers together just how they are? Just choose the yes or the no at the bottom. Can I multiply those fractions together just how they are? Okay? No. What do I have to do to those fractions? I have to change them to what? Cruz?
You have to change them to mixed numbers.
Well, they already are mixed numbers.
I'm not mixed numbers, decimal. That's what I meant.
Not a decimal. What am I changing those to?
Improper.
There you go. Improper fractions. Okay? Need to change them to improper fractions.
I lost track of everything I was talking about. Sorry.
Okay. All right, so 2 2/7 is an improper fraction. 7 times 2 is 14. Plus 2 is 16. So I have 16/7 times 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. So 16/7 times 9/4. Okay. All right, now I look and see if I can simplify anything. I can simplify the 4 and the 16. The 16 is going to become a 4. The 4 is going to become a 1. So I'm left with 4/7 times 9/1. Okay, I multiply that and I get 36/7. Okay, but I can't leave it as 36/7. I need to change it back into a mixed number. 7 goes into 36. How many times? Jacob?
5 2/7.
Okay. 7 times 5 is 35. So you're going to have 5
Or
and
1/7.
There you go. 5 and 1/7. Okay, and let's ask our question, okay? Since we're measuring area, is that going to be units, square units, or cubic units? Since it's area, is that going to be just units, square units, or cubic units? Caden?
Square units.
Good. It's going to be square units. So it's 5 and 1/7 units squared, or square units. Okay, so that one's for number 10. All right, you can see that there. Miss Smith has it too. All right, number 11. Okay. Go back to number 11. Fine. All right, so number 11 says Melissa is stacking storage cubes in a crate. The bottom of the crate is 8 inches by 12 inches. The volume of the crate is 768 cubic inches. If a storage cube has a length of 4 inches, how many storage cubes will fit in the crate? Okay, so this problem has a lot going on, so we gotta kind of have to break it down. All right, so she's stacking storage cubes. The bottom of the crate is 8 inches by 12 inches, okay? So for some of these guys, it's gonna be best if you just draw a picture. So her bottom of her crate is gonna be 8 inches by 12 inches. That's the bottom of her crate. The volume of the crate is 768 cubic inches. Okay, so we know our volume. Our volume equals 768. Okay, so our volume equals 768. If a single storage cube has a length of 4 inches, how many storage cubes will fit in the crate? All right, so now we have little storage cubes. Okay. So this is going to be our length of our little storage cube here. Okay. All right, so we're talking about cubes, okay? And I talked about cubes in the other lesson that I did. Cubes are made up of two-dimensional shapes called squares. So if the bottom length of this cube is 4, what are all the rest of the length of this cube going to be? The bottom is 4 and it's a cube. All the rest of the lengths are going to be what? If I know one length of a cube, I know all of the lengths. If one's 4, all the rest of them are going to be what? Emily?
4.
4. Okay. So in Miss Smith's picture, she has like the 4, 4, and 4. So the length of the cube is 4, the width of the cube is 4, and the height of the cube is going to be 4. Okay. So we want to know how many of those cubes are going to fit in that storage crate, which is 768 as its volume. So what would the volume of one cube be? If I'm just finding the volume of this little cube here, the volume of that one cube, that volume is going to be 4 times 4 times 4. So the volume of that one cube is going to be 4 times 4, we know is 16. 16 times 4 is going to be what? Jacob?
16 times 4.
16 times 4, what is 16 times 4?
16 times 4 is 24 times, so 24, 200,
No, 24
No.
is the 4 times the 6. Now do the 4 times the 10. Four times 10 is?
Hold on. Go ahead, Jacob.
Sorry.
No, it like automatically mutes him again. Sorry, Jacob. Go ahead.
64.
64, good. Okay. So the volume of just one cube is going to be 64. Okay. 64 what? It's volume, so is it going to be square units, cubic units, or just units? Bobby?
Volume is cubic units.
Good. Okay. So one cube is 64 cubic units. Okay. And we know that the volume of this is the whole entire thing is 768. Okay. So to solve this, we're going to need to take our entire volume, which is 768, and divide it by the volume of the cube, which is 64. Okay. Because we were asking how many cubes are going to fill that up. Okay. So we're going to do 768 divided by 64, and then that should give us our answer.
Hello.
All right, so when you divide 768 by 64, go ahead and solve it and tell me what you get. Lily? What'd you get, Lily? Aiden?
2.
Not 2. Look at that math there that Miss Smith did. 768 divided by 64. 64 goes into 76 once. Bring down your 8. 64 goes into 128 2 times. So we should have gotten 12 cubes. Any questions about the 12, guys? All right, we're gonna skip 12. I wanna do 13 and 14, okay? So let's look at 13 and 14. I'm gonna share my screen again with you guys and then I'll go back.
No. We're gonna have lunch soon. I'll make it soon.
Okay, so for 13, guys, it says Parker builds a planter in the shape of a rectangular prism that is 6 feet wide, 3 feet deep, and 2 feet tall. How much soil will he need to fill it? So if I'm filling something up, I'm filling up a planter. A planter is kind of like a garden type area that people build gardens in. Okay, it's kind of like a big rectangular box thing. So if I'm trying to figure out the amount of soil that I need to fill that up, what operation am I going to be doing there? Am I going to be doing perimeter, area, or volume? If I'm talking about the amount of soil that I need. Jacob?
Mom,
Hold on. Jacob, it's not letting me unmute you.
can I have ice cream?
No, we're not having ice cream right now.
Cruz, what do you think?
Oh,
Am I going to be using perimeter, area, or volume?
I think for this we're gonna be using perimeter,
Well, I'm trying to fill up the planter. I wanna know
volume.
how much soil. So volume, good. Okay. If I'm trying to fill up the planter, I'm trying to put the soil inside the planter. I need to know the volume of the planter so I know how much soil I need. Okay. So what's my formula for volume? Volume equals length times width times height.
I was
Okay.
about.
Length times width times height. Okay. So I can fill that in on my formula. So I have volume equals length times width times height. Okay. Well, my length is going to be 3. My width is going to be 6. And my height is going to be 2. So I should have something that looks like that. So 6 times 3 times 2. You're way easier looking at Miss Smith's because mine's backwards. I don't know if it's backwards for you. All right, so when I multiply that together, what do you get? 3 times 6 times 2. 3 times 6 is going to be 18. 18 times 2 is what? Reese? Reese, it's not letting me unmute you. I don't know why. Jacob, what'd you get?
I. What was the problem again? Times 2.
6 times
Is
3 times 2.
6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 2. So that'd be 6. Add 1 above, which would be 2. 36.
Okay, good. Yeah, 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 2 is going to be 36. But since we're finding volume, it's going to be 36 feet what? Is it going to be feet squared or feet cubed? Volume is going to be what? Kaden?
Feet cubed.
Feet cubed, good. So for that one, for 13, you're going to get 36 feet cubed.
Can you guys hear me? Remember down here, since we're multiplying for volume and area, since you're multiplying, it really doesn't matter which one is the length or the width or the height. The order that you multiply them, it doesn't matter, remember? So you don't need to stress out and wonder which of these is the length and which is the height and which is the width right now, because you're just multiplying them. So you can multiply them in any order, whatever makes it easiest, okay? You're gonna get the same answer. All right.
Okay, last one is gonna be 14, because for 14, we're using a different volume formula, so I wanna practice with that one. Okay, so that's gonna be the last one. And then I'll explain to you guys what you're gonna do after that. So 14, reshare that with you, hold on. All right, so a box is a rectangular prism with a square base. The volume is 972 cubic centimeters, and the area of the square base is 81 square centimeters. What is the height? Okay, so for this one, it's giving you the volume and it's giving you the area, and you're missing the height. Okay, so we know the volume, we know the area, but we're missing the height. So which volume formula are we going to be using for this one? Okay, we're not going to be using length times width times height for this one. What volume formula are we going to be using if we're given the volume and we're given the area? Which volume formula are we going to be using? I know a couple of you have it written down in your notes. Reese? I don't know what it's doing, Reese.
Base
Reese, go
times,
ahead.
no, base times height.
Good. Okay, base times height, or area times height, right? Okay, because for this one, we already know the area of that base. Okay, so we're going to be using the formula area, or not area, sorry, volume equals base times height. Okay, just like Ms. Smith has down. Okay. Well, our base, like I've been telling you guys, I said in the last lesson, our base and our area are the same thing. Okay. So what is, let's fill in what we know. Our volume, okay, we know our volume. Our volume is 972. And our base or our area is 81.
We're gonna have an apple tree. I'm gonna go get some water.
Height is going to stay the same. Okay. So our height is still our variable. We don't know our height. So 972 equals 81 times h. Okay. Well, I don't know off the top of my head, 81, I need to find 81 times something is going to equal 972. Okay. So we know that the opposite of multiplication is division. Okay. So we're going to use that inverse. We're going to use division to solve this. So our height is going to equal 972 divided by 81. Our height equals 972 divided by 81. Okay, so go ahead and solve that, guys, and then you can get your height. 972 divided by 81. When you have that, go ahead and raise your hand and I'll call on someone. I'm gonna give everybody a minute to try and solve that though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what did we get as our answer? Jacob, what'd you get?
12.
12, good, okay. All right, so if you see it, you can see Miss Smith too, all right. We end up with 12, okay? And we're asking for height, so height is just gonna be, again, one dimensional. So it's just gonna be 12 what? Is it gonna be centimeters, square centimeters, or cubic centimeters? It's just, I'm just measuring height, which is just one dimension. So is that gonna be centimeters, square centimeters, or cubic centimeters? Emily?
Centimeters.
Centimeters, good. Okay, so it's just gonna be centimeters. So our answer is gonna be 12 centimeters. Okay, awesome job, guys. Let me go back to the other screen. Okay, so how do we feel like that went? Would you guys like it? Yes or no? Be honest. Think it was helpful? Yes or no? Okay, good, good. All right. So if you guys are like, if you felt like it was a lot of information and it was kind of all really fast or something like that, I did record this, so you can go back and watch the recording like I've been posting, okay? How many of you have thought the recordings have been helpful? You think the recordings have been helpful? Hit yes. Okay, all right. So this is recorded. I know this was the first one, all right? So as we do more of them, I think it'll come a little bit easier for everybody, but I know a lot of it, this is brand new, okay? So, and it'll go a little faster as we go through. So some of them, I want to do more like this, guys. Some of them are going to be recorded like I've been doing. Others of them might be like this. So if you can log on, I'll tell you, okay? I know some of you were trying to download Zoom before and it wasn't working. Just use the link that I sent, okay? Just go right before the meeting and use the link that I sent because that allowed everybody's to work, okay? All right, so is there any questions before we log off? Any questions? Lily's got a question. Hold on. Let me see, Lily. What's up, Lily?
Sometimes it would log me out or I can't hear you.
Or you can't hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, that might be because of the muting. I don't know. Or the internet might have gone in and out. But I don't know why that was. Because I know, Lily, in the beginning, I couldn't hear you. So I don't know what was going on with that. We'll try it more, okay?
All right.
Anybody else question? Before we, good. Okay, so most of you, if you guys are on here, you're doing an excellent job doing your assignments. Those of you who logged on, I really appreciate it. You're doing an amazing job, so just keep it up. And then if you guys have been really good with emailing me if you have questions. Okay, so just keep that up, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Okay. All right, bye guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. I'll see you soon. Okay.
Bye.
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 Bye.